Hi, Intrinsic Legends. So, unfortunately, because of circumstances that are out of all of our control, we are not able to meet as a class right now. But I do realize how much a lot of us really enjoy our read aloud time in class. So, I've tried to think of a way that I can provide that for you, although we cannot meet in our classroom environment. So I'm going to be uploading a video every day while we are on our 2-week break so that we can kind of have a read aloud and then come back together and talk all about it as a class once we return back to our classroom environment. So I tried to pick a book that I thought a lot of you would enjoy with some familiar characters. So I'm going to begin, of course, at chapter 1. This is The Magic Treehouse Merlin Missions. This is number 25, Shadow of the Sharks. So, chapter 1, Dream Vacation. Did you see anything amazing? Annie asked Jack. They were standing on the warm, sunny shore of Frog Creek Lake, packing up their new swimming gear: flippers, masks, snorkels, and red light vests. Not really, said Jack. Weeds and rocks. Same here, said Annie. How was your new mask? Cool, said Jack as he put his glasses back on. It didn't leak or fog up at all. Great, said Annie, pulling a tunic over her bathing suit. Jack and Annie stepped into their flip-flops. Jack picked up the waterproof swim bag with all their gear, and they headed to the bike rack. I'd love to snorkel around a coral reef someday, he said. Me too, said Annie. Jack strapped the bulky bag to the rack over his back wheel. He and Annie pulled on their helmets and pedaled out of the lake parking lot. Remember when Randy and Jenny snorkeled around a coral reef last spring? Jack said. Oh, right. They went to a place called Cozumel with their parents, Annie said. They did all kinds of cool stuff. Hey, should we call them? They said they'd be back from their aunt's house by 2. Sure, said Jack. Hold on, stop, said Annie. Jack and Annie pulled their bikes over to the side of a quiet road. Annie reached into her handler bar bag and took out the old cell phone their dad had given them when he had gotten a newer model. Hey, we have a text from Randy. She read the message. Darn, he says they're not coming back until tomorrow. That's okay. Let's just go home then, said Jack. He started pedaling again and turned at the corner. He started up their street, headed for their house. Jack, stop! Annie called from behind them. Jack stopped his bike and looked back. Annie was speeding after him. What's wrong? He called. She screeched to a halt. We have a message from Teddy, she cried, waving a yellow piece of paper. When I put the phone away, I noticed this in my handler bag. How did it get there? Said Jack. I don't know, said Annie. Teddy must have put it there when we were snorkeling. Or maybe my bike was in our yard or parked at the library. Or maybe... Okay, just read it to me, said Jack. Jack stopped his bike and looked back. Annie read breathlessly. Jack and Annie, please meet me at the treehouse as soon as possible. Teddy. Let's go, said Jack. Annie put the message back in the bag, and she and Jack sped up the street. When they reached the edge of Frog Creek Woods, they turned and rode their bikes between the trees, bouncing over roots, pine needles, and leaves. Teddy hasn't come to Frog Creek in a long time, said Annie. I know, said Jack. I hope nothing's wrong back in Camelot, said Annie. I hope Morgan and Merlin are all right. Yeah, and Kathleen, said Jack. And Penny, said Annie. And Arthur, and well, all of Camelot. Jack and Annie soon came to the tallest oak. The magic tree house was back. A freckled-faced teenager with tousled red hair was leaning out of the window. "Teddy!" Annie cried, waving. "Hello," he called. "Climb on up." Annie and Jack pulled off their helmets, left their bikes leaning against the tree, and climbed up the rope ladder inside the treehouse. They both hugged Teddy. "What's happening?" said Jack. "Is everyone okay?" "Oh, yes, Camelot is doing quite well," said Teddy. "Good," said Annie. "Do Merlin and Morgan have a new mission for us?" said Jack. "Indeed they do," said Teddy. "What do they want us to do?" asked Annie. "They want you to have a fantastic time," said Teddy. "What does that mean?" said Jack. "Merlin and Morgan believe they have never properly thanked you for all your hard and dangerous work," said Teddy. "Oh, sure they have," said Annie. "They've always thanked us." Teddy smiled. "Well, today they want to thank you in a very special way. They want to send you on a holiday." "A holiday? You mean like a vacation?" said Jack. "Yes, a vacation. I believe that's what you call it," said Teddy. "Oh, man, we were just talking about that," said Jack. "Wonderful," said Teddy. "Then their timing is perfect. The question is, where would you like to go?" "Well, we were just talking about a place called Cozumel," said Annie. "Cozumel?" said Teddy. "I do not believe I have heard of that land." "It's an island in the Caribbean Sea, next to the Yucatan Peninsula," said Jack. "It's a part of Mexico." "We want to go there because it's a great place for snorkeling," said Annie. "Snorkeling?" said Teddy, wrinkling his nose. "What is that?" Jack laughed. "You swim in a lake or ocean and look underwater through a mask." "And breathe through a plastic tube," said Annie. "Our lake isn't great for snorkeling," said Jack. "But our friends Randy and Jenny went to a beach in Cozumel last spring, and they said the snorkeling was incredible." "Ah, I see. Then Cozumel's where you shall go," said Teddy. He reached into his cloak and pulled out a wand. He waved it in a circle over the treehouse floor, whispering words that Jack couldn't understand except for Cozumel. Slowly, magically, a small paperback book took shape on the floor. Teddy picked up the book. "Your travel guide," he said proudly. "Cozumel and the Yucatan Peninsula." He showed the book to Jack and Annie. The cover was a collage of several small paintings and photos. One showed a large fancy hotel. Another showed a stone pyramid. And a third showed a person snorkeling. Teddy turned the book over and read from the back cover. "Visit Cozumel in the Yucatan Peninsula. Stay in a luxury spa hotel. See ancient Mayan pyramids and ruins. Snorkel in the clear blue water of the Caribbean Sea." "Oh, wow, my dream vacation," said Annie. "I'll get our snorkeling gear," said Jack. "I'll grab our phone to take photos," said Annie. Jack and Annie hurried down the rope ladder. Annie took their cell phone from their handlebar bag and put it in one of those pockets in her tunic. Jack grabbed their swim bag and they climbed up to Teddy. "We're ready," said Annie. Teddy handed her the travel book. "Take this to guide you," he said. "And take this too." He reached into his cloak and pulled out a green velvet coin purse. He handed the purse to Jack. Jack opened the purse and took out 3 golden coins. "What are these?" "We want you to have as much fun as possible on your holiday," said Teddy. "Each of these coins contains a bit of magic. Throw one in the air, make a wish, and your wish shall come true." "Seriously? That's great," said Annie. "Yes," said Teddy. "You may wish for anything." So that's a picture of their travel guide. The only requirement is that the magic be used to help you have fun. "This is going to be a great trip," said Jack. He put the purse with the magic coins into his bag. To Cozumel, now you must go, said Teddy. But wait, are you sure we don't have a mission of some kind? Said Jack. They'd never been on a journey without an assignment from Morgan and Merlin. Yes, indeed you do have a mission, said Teddy. As I told you, your mission is to have a wonderful time. Nothing else? Said Jack. Nothing else, Teddy said with a smile. Wow, said Annie. Can you come too and have a wonderful time at the beach with us? I wish I could, said Teddy, but I have to do more errands for Morgan and Merlin today. None quite as delightful as this one, however. You must tell me all about your journey when we meet again. Of course we will, said Annie. Come back to Frog Creek soon. I plan to, said Teddy. Do you have all you need? Yes, said Jack. And you don't need to magically change our clothes. We're already dressed for the beach. Excellent. Go now, said Teddy. And he pointed at the cover of the travel guide. I wish we could go there, she said. To have a wonderful time, added Jack. The wind started to blow. The treehouse started to spin. It spun faster and faster. Then everything was still. Absolutely still. And friends, that is the end of chapter 1. So, it sounds like Jack and Annie might just be going on a vacation. What do you guys think is going to happen next? Because I personally think a vacation might be a little bit too good to be true. Make sure you come back here tomorrow following the same YouTube link so that you can read chapter 2 with us and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 all the way up until we finish the story. Parents, if you have any questions about the packets that went home or their homework for the next 2 weeks, please feel free to reach out to me via email, text message, phone call, whatever works best for you. I am making myself completely open to help out in any way that I can. And I hope you guys get a lot of rest during this time. And I will talk to you guys again tomorrow when we read chapter 2.